in my case, or native Spanish speaker, me trying to speak Spanish here in Mexico. So the speaking skills are very important. The pronunciation, the enunciation of the language. So yes, Alex, I think that's very important. And in your school, I'm sure that's emphasized outside of the grammar exercises as well. Now, the listening, that's difficult. Listening is difficult here in Mexico because students here are Mexican. So they enter your classroom for that 1 hour session, and then they exit and, well, they're in Mexico. So they're not in an immersed situation. So I always tell students who are interested, Stephen, how can I improve my English skills? What's the quickest way I can learn English? And I always say, go to an English-speaking country. Go to Canada. Go to the United States. Go to England. Immerse yourself for a year or two because you have to learn the language. You have to use the language. And it's one of the faults of what's missing learning English in the country where it's being taught, because here in Mexico they leave the classroom and then it's everything Spanish again. So it's difficult learning language, a foreign language, in your home country, I believe. But it's doable. It's doable, Alex, yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you will laugh, of course, because it's our fifth attempt to record, and again I didn't press the button, but we will not record anything. I just repeat my question, which you have already answered. Yes, you will laugh a lot. But I asked Stephen to give the reasons why it is so important to speak and listen. And I told him that when parents with kids come to our school, to the School of English in Pushkino, they ask us, first of all, please teach them speaking, teach them how to listen. And that was the answer Stephen gave, but I grateful so much to him because he has been teaching a special program which is called English through Geography at the School of English in Pushkino, and it's an amazing program. And I told him, and I will tell our listeners, then when I'm behind the door, I am jealous because the program is so great. The program is so nice and interesting, and even for me, for a teacher, I know a lot of new things. So thank you very much. And
No, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity, and it's always both sides, Alex. You know, I try my best as a teacher, as an instructor, but it's really also the students. The students make the classroom. If they're interested in the subject of the day and the theme of the day, they have the question, the interest, and so on, then the class itself, the hour goes by so quickly when the students get involved. So I appreciate the students that you bring into our classroom. Thank you, Alex. Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's we work with teachers from another city, and we say very warm words towards them because they are two professional Russian teachers and they help a lot. So it's a nice team of this program, and we will continue. And I didn't find anything better on the internet, and really appreciate that I met you and you started this program.
Same here, Alex. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And next question about Mexican culture. You told, but I didn't record it, but you told that it's a more close family in Mexico than in America. But about culture, it's now globalization everywhere. So sometimes we forgot about our native culture. It's a process everywhere. What about Mexicans? How close are they to the roots? How close are they to their culture?
Good question. And I think the traditions here in Mexico run very deep, those roots that you're speaking of. I mentioned earlier about the family ties, the closeness here of the families, but the traditions that are shown and are celebrated in Mexico are simply amazing. And the holidays are almost endless, it feels like, but some of them are more important than others. And when those important holidays come around, you can see the culture, the traditional music, the dance, the food, the routines, etc. are just it's enlightening, almost, if I may use that word. And it's wonderful to see it. And I appreciate the time and the experience I've had here in Mexico to witness this firsthand. I'm not just reading it out of a book or watching it on a video or anything, but I'm actually experiencing it. So the culture and the traditions run very deep here in Mexico. Mm-hmm.
Well, absolutely amazing answer. Very interesting answer. And Mexico, it has good stereotype and bad stereotype. I would say these are stereotypes because we always listen from medias on TV, on the internet, Mexican cartels, drug cartels, who was arrested, who was killed. Is it really so? And how dangerous it is to live in your city? For you, you are a foreigner, you are an American, how dangerous it is for you?
Good questions and good comments. And stereotyping, that runs within the human being, and it runs from country to country, culture to culture. I could ask, what stereotype of Russian, stereotype of German, stereotype of American, and pretty much the answers run consistent through those countries and cultures and ethnic backgrounds, etc. And then you turn to the Mexican culture and Mexico itself, and things aren't any different. Whether your perspective is from Europe or from the United States, you stereotype a Mexican as a person who does A, B, and C, or looks like X, Y, and Z, etc. And for the most part, I see that. And I can't deny some of the stereotyping. And some of them are as even self-inflicted, in a sense where Mexicans, they want to keep that tradition and culture, and it's there. It's true with the big sombrero, that huge hat. No, not in my city are they walking down. But if I would go out into the countryside, onto the farms, that sombrero is being used. And it's not a stereotype anymore. It's a fact.
Okay.
Now, away from that, and when you talk about media, news media, on the internet, on the television, you and I both know that the news, what makes the ratings high is usually the bad news. And people are more attracted to hear what happened in a bad light in a specific area, country, city. And that's what you hear about. So I know, at least from most Americans' perspective, like you mentioned, it's dangerous to go to Mexico. It's dangerous. And I can say, yes, if you're involved in those areas that you mentioned, the drug area, drug trade, the cartel, it's going to be a dangerous life. But if you just come down as an average person and you be careful of what you do, whether I'm walking through the streets of Chicago or downtown Moscow, you have to be careful where you walk and what you do. But overall, I feel extremely comfortable here in my city where I live. But I also know there's areas of Mexico where it probably would not be as safe to walk the streets at 12 o'clock midnight, walking home from the downtown celebration. And that's unfortunate, but it is true. So you just want to walk with caution, with precaution here in Mexico. But again, that's pretty much similar in many countries, to be honest.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so from globalization, from global questions back to the common grounds, and it's about life. We both know that we have been teaching for many years, and when you work as a private face-to-face teacher, it's sometimes easier because at least you don't have to regulate discipline, and you can variate your approach depending on the abilities of the students. Why? But when we teach a class with different students with different abilities, and how do you regulate this? And sometimes the students with bad behavior, they are leaders in the class, or is that not so in a college where you teach? How?
Well, I don't know if I would call them leaders, but you know, with discipline and with the age groups I have, it's a lot easier and more entertaining to follow the students that are more of a distraction in the class. That idea of, well, if he or she can do this and have fun in the class, I'm going to follow this student. And you're right. And then the gathering, let's follow the student who's a distraction because, it's more entertaining for them.
Yeah.
But, you know, going back to part of your statement, when you're teaching in a large group, you have to teach in targeted area, that average area. If I can get the majority and they understand what you're trying to get across that day, that's great. And then you have the sides, kind of that bell shape. You get the majority here, and then some of them, of course, it's, this is easy, I know this, etc. And then the other side where it's, I don't understand what the teacher's trying to say. And those are the ones you try to give a little bit extra attention to, the ones that aren't quite understanding it. And the ones that understand it too easily might be the ones that you give that extra work to, that extra, if you understand this, here's a little extra reading, a little extra homework. As far as the discipline is concerned, you know, that might depend on what the action might be. If it's just talking a little bit extra, then I usually give that extra kind of stare, and that whole, are you ready question, because we are you ready to start class, because we're waiting for you scenario. But if it's that extreme, then a little talking to maybe after class could help, and then hopefully it doesn't go any farther than that.
Okay, so very interesting to listen to you, because as far as I understand, you don't have much problem with regulating discipline. So, okay.
It varies. It varies.
Good. So, probably the last question, because you have a lot of things to do ahead of you, and that's a question about food, and that's a question about how do you eat, where do you eat, how often do you take meals, do you buy something outside and cook by yourself? So what about food? A lot of
very nice.
things.
This is a nice question. Now, where I live, the house where I rent is about 5 minutes walking distance from an open air market. So it's very convenient for me just to walk there on a daily basis and pick up the fresh vegetables, fruit, and whatever I feel like preparing for the day. I love cooking, so it's more the challenge for me is the idea. What am I making today? What am I preparing? What do I need to go and get? So I'll get the food for the day. Usually I buy 1 day in advance, but it's extremely convenient. And as far as eating out is concerned, my wife and I rarely eat in a restaurant per se. Where we might eat is a more of a smaller place, a smaller convenient restaurant. And I use the word lightly. It's not one of these restaurants where you walk in and you have somebody serve you and they come back. It's usually a restaurant where you walk in and you say, I like 2 gorditas, or I would like 3 quesadillas, or I like 5 tacos, and tell them what you want inside. Or you actually you create the food, the food is spread out for you, you get the hot part, you put in what you want, you find a table and you just enjoy that. And if you want more food, you go back in line and you ask for more. And what I really like is at the end of the meal, you tell the owner or the server, oh, I ate 5 tacos, 2 gorditas, and a drink, and then they'll add up the price. They don't keep tab. They just trust you, and you tell them what you had. They don't sit there and go, okay, I know you had 4 of these and 2 of those. No, it's a very honest system, and I really like that. And you just pay what you ate, and you're satisfied with the day. And it's wonderful. I really like that. That trust system.
Well, I know that your wife teaches Spanish, and yes. I think probably we will ask her to give some classes, who knows, but my question to you, can you say some words in Spanish, more maybe like the words of saying goodbye or something, or whatever you want, we want to listen your Spanish.
Sure, that's fine. Well, maybe even it's more universal, but adios is a good way of saying goodbye.
Okay.
Que tengas un buen día is like, and that you may have a nice day, or that the day passes well for you. Y nos vemos otro día, which is, and we will see each other another day. Very good. Thank you.
Well,
I
appreciate your interview. Hope to see you again. And I will start this video about pyramids, about Maya, but I don't really think that you have time to watch it, or what. I think you will say goodbye, and I will start this movie. And
very good.
See you again and again next time.
Okay, thank you, Alex. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you in the future interview. Thank you, Alex.
Great.
I appreciate it.
Have a great day. Great.
Enjoy.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Love it. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
The Maya. They're considered one of the most advanced civilizations to have existed in the Americas before the Spanish conquest. But who exactly were the ancient Maya people, and what led to the collapse of their civilization? As early as 1800 BC, the Maya had begun settling and established villages in what is today Mexico and Central America. Maya civilization peaked from 250 to 900 AD, during what archaeologists call the Classic period. More than 40 cities flourished throughout the region, with populations as large as 50,000. The Maya built magnificent urban centers consisting of stone structures, including pyramid temples that were central to Maya religious practices. In addition to these impressive city structures, agriculture played a key role in Maya civilization. Corn was one of the predominant crops. The Maya creation story tells of nature gods, the basis of Maya religion, who created humans out of yellow and white corn. The Maya also made significant advancements in mathematics and astronomy. They invented the concept of zero, and they developed an accurate calendar system. Used to guide the Maya agricultural cycles, the calendar was based on observations of the sun and sky over thousands of years. The Maya also developed the only known system of writing in Mesoamerica, hieroglyphs. In fact, much of what we know about ancient Maya civilization comes from deciphering hieroglyphic characters inscribed in pottery, stone slabs, and other ruins discovered at ancient sites. Hieroglyphs have revealed that, despite the Maya's ingenuity and agrarian lifestyle, conflict was prevalent among some Maya city-states as they battled for control of the region. Throughout much of the Classic period, the city-state of Tikal, located in modern-day Guatemala, reigned as the closest thing to an empire in Maya history. But for a period of roughly 130 years, the Tikal people were overtaken through force and diplomacy by the Kanul, a rival kingdom. Toward the end of the Classic period, around 900 AD, most Maya cities had collapsed. Among the theories are warfare, a volcanic eruption, and, perhaps most likely, drought. However, archaeologists still debate why, as new evidence continues to emerge. Despite the decline of ancient Maya civilization, the Maya people have by no means disappeared. More than 7 million Maya are estimated to be alive today in their indigenous homelands and around the world. While they participate in modern global life, they continue to follow agricultural and ceremonial practices of their ancestors.